A lot of you guys might have heard recently that OpenAI released their GPT 5.2 model alongside with their new image model 1.5 just a few weeks after Google released Nano Banana Pro, which has been one of the best image models that Google has released, much farther ahead from what OpenAI had at the moment and that they launched previously this year. It was outperforming it in things like text generation, image to image generation, and multiple images to a single image generation. So I wanted to make this video to compare side by side different generations and prompts that I gave to both of these models and highlight why I would choose one over the other in this specific scenarios. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jose. I post a lot of content regarding AI and automation where I show you guys how to build different systems, but I also like making these types of videos where I'm reviewing new models and seeing what use cases might be the best to use these tools. So let's get right into it. So I want to start off by coming here to this website called lmarena.ai. And what LMArena is, it's basically a leaderboard for different language models. In this case, we're going to be looking at the text to image models. And the way that it works is based off votes. So right over here, we see that the top text to image model right now is GPT Image 1.5. just a little bit over Gemini 3 Pro image. And the way that these models get their positions on this leaderboard, it works by users providing a prompt and then the system provides them with two results. They choose the one that they like the best, and that's the one who gets the vote. So those are those numbers over here. And right now, I think that Image 1.5 is ahead of Nano Banana Pro, and it has to do a lot with the height. And we're going to look into the results that I got here in a bit and explain why I think this is the case. So I want to jump right into the different prompts that I gave both of these models and compare them side by side. So this was the first one. I just wanted to generate a professional sort of headshot of a person and see how much detail each of these models can get. And so right here is the prompt: create a hyper-realistic close-up portrait of a man in his early 30s, camera 85mm lens, shallow depth of field. No stylization, no cinematic color grading, photorealistics, looks like a real photograph. And on the left-hand side, we're going to have Nano Banana Pro, and then on the right side, we're going to have OpenAI Image. Looking at both of these images, these are both pretty solid results. So if we look at the Nano Banana Pro image, we can see that there's a lot of detail here. Like we can see pretty good texture on the skin, and also the lighting is pretty professional. The headshot's not centered, which I kind of didn't like, but I didn't really specify anything regarding the position of the person in the prompt. And now looking at OpenAI's image, this is so much better than what it used to output in its previous model. In its previous model, even if you asked for a human person for it to look realistic, it would still look sort of like a drawing. So this is so much better. I would still say if someone shows me this picture, I'll be able to tell it's AI. Just by looking at the texture of the skin, you can see it's not as the highest resolution as the Nano Banana Pro one, but it's still pretty decent results. I mean, very big improvement. I think Nano Banana Pro won this one though. Moving on to the next one. This is a very good use case that I've talked about in the previous video, in which I actually show you guys how you can create a system that turns any YouTube video into an infographic using Nano Banana Pro. If you want to check that video out, I'll be linking it up here. But overall, this is a very simple prompt that I gave to both models. It's just create an infographic explaining the AI bubble, including as many as possible. I actually swapped the places here. And what we have here on the left is GPT 1.5. And here on the right, we have Nano Banana Pro. Looking at the one from GPT, I think it's okay. It looks like it's being cut off down here, which kind of bothers me. So in this case, I didn't really specify an aspect ratio, and this is what I got back. And I think that might be the reason why it's being cut off. But overall, it's pretty good. I would say the text is much legible than what we used to get before. There's certain details here, like this little mark on top of the S there. I don't know what that is. Same as over here next to used, we see some weird textures around the letters, which is not really the best comparing it to Nano Banana Pro. If you look at Nano Banana Pro's result, this is so much better. Just based off the style, looks a little bit more appealing to me. It's a little bit more creative. I also think it's really good on the text, as I've mentioned in previous videos. The text that comes out of this model is just very spot on. It also has a little bit more of creativity in the sense that it decided to make this sort of wheel explaining the whole thing, while GPT 1.5 just stuck to the linear format, which is okay, but it still looks a little dry. Not much going on over here in terms of creativity and colors. So I'm going to give this one to Nano Banana Pro. Now the following is a very interesting case. This is something that I've seen other people test, and it's just having the model create different headshots of people with different emotions. So in this case, I'm creating a 4x4 image grid which shows different facial expressions of a man. So why don't we start off with image 1.5 over here. So in terms of getting the emotions spot on, these are not too bad. I mean, sadness, he doesn't look too sad there. Same as surprise and love, this looks pretty much the same. And it didn't quite get it right. As you see, we got 4x4, but then we have all these other images down here, which really makes no sense why it added it in there when we didn't really ask for another row. And also it's cut off. So one thing that I did try when I was texting the model was telling it to use a 1:1 aspect ratio as what I have set up as default inside Nano Banana Pro. And even then, this is what I got, which is not really what I was looking for. Now, if we look over at Nano Banana Pros, this is a little bit better just by saying that it actually gave me a 4x4 grid. When it comes to the different facial expressions, we have similar cases in which, maybe awe and surprise look very similar. Embarrassment is actually pretty funny because it made it a little red. But overall, pretty spot on. I would say even the text looks pretty great on both actually. But again, when it comes to getting what I asked for, I think Nano Banana was a little bit more spot on here. Now on to the next one. I wanted to do an image to image generation in which I provide a headshot of myself and I told it to create a picture of me in a rooftop of a building during a sunset. So let's look what that looks like. This is the image I provided, very basic headshot, no editing, nothing. And this is what I got. So using this previous image as reference, place the same person standing on a city rooftop sunset camera, medium wide shot, eye level angle. So over here on the left, we're going to have Nano Banana Pro and over here image 1.5. Overall, in terms of how realistic it looks, I think Nano Banana Pro did a better job. This doesn't look like it was shot on a very professional camera. It just looks like maybe it was shot on a phone, but the details are very good, especially the lighting I like a lot because it's not super dramatic. But when it comes to my facial details, it's not very spot on. Like I know what I look like, same as my body. I didn't really provide a full body picture, which is why it came back with something that to me, it doesn't really reflect the way I look. But again, that has to do with the input. Overall, pretty good, decent picture over here. Now with image 1.5, this I can tell it's AI generated. Like I said, it looks very edited, sort of. It doesn't have that realistic touch to it. That's why I prefer Nano Banana for this. Also my body, again, I didn't provide an input on that, which is why I got whatever the model thought I look like, which is fine. And now I wanted to try multiple images to a single image. This is something that Nano Banana Pro is actually really good at. Once you provide multiple images of multiple characters, I believe you can provide up to 16 images. I'm not sure how many you can provide on OpenAI, but I believe it's much less. But I just wanted to upload these 3 pictures of these 3 different CEOs and have it create a magazine cover. So let's see what that looks like. So here on the left, we're going to have Nano Banana Pro. And over here on the right, we're going to have OpenAI. So create a high-end editorial magazine using all provided reference images. The theme is the future of digital creativity. Now, these are 2 very, very solid results. The text is very spot on, as well as the images that I provided as reference is actually like preserving their outfits and their poses. In some cases, like here Elon Musk, it has the same pose. But if I were to compare these 2, these are very close together. Like these are very solid results, but in terms of creativity, and this is just my personal reference and what I like more, I think the one on the right here by image 1.5 look a little bit more professional. There's some details here, like for example, the mic, it didn't remove it. It looks like here he's wearing a mic on the picture I provided and it preserved that, which is fine. We can tell from this that it's being accurate, but over here, it actually removed it, which is kind of nice. Overall, I think this looks much better, looks much more professional for a magazine. I think when it comes to multiple images to an image, they both do a pretty good job. Obviously, it's going to depend how many images you provide and what you're asking for. But for 3 images, 3 different people, OpenAI 1.5, Image 1.5 did a really good job. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of a summary on how these models are performing. If you haven't get a chance to test them out, I would suggest you test them out. As of my personal preference, I think Nano Banana Pro is still ahead of Image 1.5. And I think what makes me choose this decision is the text generation. I think there's a lot of value in there when it comes to, creating infographics or posters with text. Nano Banana Pro does a really, really good job on getting that text right spot on. So that's just my personal preference when it comes to creating humans. I think Nano Banana Pro is still ahead of the game. And that's just from how realistic it can actually create a person. To me, the details of the skin texture, preserving the image of a person when you're referencing an image is very important. So hopefully you found this video helpful. I just wanted to show you guys my experience and the different use cases and the different tests that I ran this to come to a decision on what I wanted to keep using. And for now, for infographics and sort of that stuff, I'm gonna keep using Nano Banana Pro. If you're wondering where I'm using these models, Image 1.5 is just through ChatGPT's interface, and then Nano Banana Pro is through kie.ai, which I'll be linking down below. But if you found this video helpful and interesting and informative, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'll be posting more videos soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one.